So, I guess this is a video about Megalodon. You know, the giant prehistoric shark. Because when we already see sharks as monsters, why not make them really, really big? And then pretend your movie has an air of scientific credibility when a shark eats an airplane, unlike those other movies. Sorry, I wanted to make fun of that particular film. We can't use Finn puns until the end because all shark movies end with Finn. This is only the beginning. Anyway, was Megalodon really a monster of the deep that only Jason Statham could defeat? Were they just the shark from Jaws, but bigger? Are they still lurking in the Mariana Trench or Bermuda Triangle? Can I somehow twist a video on Megalodon to be centered on modern shark conservation? I guess we will have to dive down and find out. And hey, we have enough in the budget to actually go diving in search of Megalodon. And so we can throw away the animated submarine. Back in the age of the Megatooth shark, there were saber-toothed salmon swimming in the dark. There were aquatic sloths and seabirds the size of planes. Back in the age of the Megatooth shark. Hi everybody, welcome back. Argus commented on one of my videos again. So we're gonna read that comment real quick. Yeah. After watching the latest video on crocodiles. So I am so sorry to see you are still desperately using our videos for attention and telling people crocodiles are friendly and focusing on their vibes. WTF. That is just really bad advice. Hashtag do better. Doesn't really seem like you watched the video. So today I'm gonna watch a video that cannot be good. 5 reasons Megalodon might still be around. This is one I think I can just rip apart. Okay, let's watch it.
Are you ready to dive into the deep and search for one of the biggest mysteries of the ocean? That's right, we're talking about the Megalodon, the prehistoric shark that some say is still swimming in the depths of the sea. Think the Megalodon is just a myth? Think again. Here are the top 5 pieces of evidence that suggest this prehistoric shark is still out there.
Unlikely.
Number 5, Megalodon snacks still around.
Megalodon.
Starting off at number 5, we have the fact that the Megalodon's favorite prey, the cetaphil whale, still exists. In 2013, a small whale was discovered living in the Southern Ocean that belongs to a group thought to have died out with the Megalodon. But since they didn't, that means there are still bite-sized snacks for this great fish.
Yeah, so I assume Argus is talking about the pygmy right whale here, which the evidence does suggest is the last living cetaphil whale. But we have known that this whale has existed since the 1840s. Just they were not thought to be related to these sort of small fossil whales that were found alongside megalodon teeth. So while sure this whale is like perfect prey for a megalodon, this isn't some new whale species that we didn't know about. Like, we've known about these whales. Okay.
Number 4, fresh teeth discovered in the deep. Megalodon has been known from fossils for centuries. But in 1875, a scientific research vessel, the HMS Challenger, pulled up teeth from the deep sea that looked to be only a few thousand years old, suggesting that this shark was roaming the abyss long after they were supposed to have disappeared.
So this always gets brought up, right? Like, it's not really a piece of evidence, though. That's the annoying thing about it. These teeth just looked whiter than normal because that's how fossilization works. And so, yeah, these teeth were probably preserved in a thick mineral crust that slowed decomposition. And whatever the fossilizing mineral was made the teeth appear white, which some minerals do. So, like, yeah, no, this is like non-evidence and evidence to support that these teeth were young at all, that they're not between the like 25 and 3 million years that's often cited for megalodons, sort of temporal range.
Number 3, giant shark sightings off Australia. Think nobody has seen a megalodon? In 1918, some Australian fishermen refused to go near the water after a 115-foot ghostly white shark stole their crayfish pots. Talk about a bad break. Years later, in the 1960s, another crew of fishermen had a similar encounter. It's only a matter of time before someone sees this mysterious shark again, and maybe this time they will remember to record the encounter.
So yeah. We should definitely take this as evidence, because fishermen are really well known for reporting an accurate recording of the size of a fish they saw or caught. It's not like there's a whole saying about how they exaggerate the size of fish. These stories, though, just are unreferenced, and so could easily just been made up by whoever or whichever algorithm wrote this video. I happen to know, however, that the story about the crayfish pots, the shark stealing the crayfish pots, is a 1918 story told by ichthyologist David Steed, and was recounted in his Sharks and Rays of Australia, of the Australian seas decades later, at least according to Nat Geo. I did track down the original 1918 report, and learned of more giant shark teeth pulled up from the deep by the U.S. research vessel, the Albatross. Also apparently David Steed seemed to think great white sharks could get 40 feet long. So I'm not sure how educational his shark book actually is. The other story is completely vague. I have no idea where it could possibly have come from.
Number 2, more sightings. There are sightings of giant sharks around the world from fishermen and sailors, from giant black sharks off Mexico to mysterious man-eaters off South Africa. While these reports are few and far between, they are enough to keep the idea of
I like all the
Megalodon
stock
alive.
photos of people sculling with
Maybe
giant
one day
sharks.
you'll be lucky enough to spot this giant shark in the wild.
So just more random, unverified, and unreferenced sightings. Just giant shark. Somebody saw one. It's not super convincing.
Number 1, the megamouth shark.
Ooh, the megamouth shark.
In 1976,
That's a whale
scientists
shark.
made the shocking discovery of the megamouth shark, a massive deep-sea shark.
That's a basking
known to
shark.
time. If this monster...
Okay, that's actually a megamouth shark.
Why not Megalodon? We know that Megalodon once
Why
existed,
not?
so why not
Why
believe
not,
that
Jim?
it still could? After all, the ocean is such a big place, and there's still so much we don't know about it.
It is true that we know very little about life in the oceans. And the megamouth shark was a shocking discovery when the first shark was brought up by accident off the coast of Hawaii. They spend their days at depths of probably less than 1,000 feet, and then get within about 100 feet of the surface at night. But unlike Megalodon, they eat plankton, not whales. And they have tiny, easy-to-miss teeth in the fossil record. They're also, not that big. They're big sharks, but, they're not Megalodon-sized. They also show that, big fish are, near the surface, or at least in midwater. They aren't in the deep-sea trenches. Okay. This is a weird picture. It's very surreal.
Well, there you go. The 5 best pieces of evidence that suggest Megalodon is still around. Who knows, maybe one day we'll finally have definitive proof that this prehistoric shark is still out there. Until then, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button like an asteroid hitting the Yucatan.
So, only one, fisherman story about a big shark that is even sort of, concrete. I am not convinced at all by this video. This video was just bad. Anyway, let's see how much better my hunt for the Megalodon goes. Time to talk about the science of Megalodon, a shark so big they preyed on whales. You can find fossil teeth embedded in whale bones. But we will talk more about that when I break down how they hunted. But before that, I think I need to explain exactly what Megalodon is. Usually they are shown as a really big great white, but Megalodon was not a great white shark. Yes, they are both in a group of sharks known as the mackerel sharks, but that also includes the sand tiger shark, the goblin shark, and even the megamouth shark Argus mentioned, which all have pretty different morphology. The modern great white is essentially a large mako shark specialized to hunt seals. Megalodon, on the other hand, is the species name of the last and largest member of the genus Otodus. Early members of this genus had these thinner teeth with two distinctive smaller lateral cusps on either side of the central tooth, making a tripoint. Over time, as new species became larger and specialized on whales when they evolved, the teeth became bigger and broader until you get the teeth of the Meg. At up to 180 millimeters, they are the largest known shark teeth. If you take a closer look, you will notice the teeth have very fine serrations. Like many modern and extinct sharks, the teeth of the top jaw are actually quite different from those of the lower jaw. I have a fairly large lower jaw tooth, which is a little thinner and pointier than the broad, nearly perfectly triangular teeth of the top jaw. You could imagine the teeth of the lower jaw puncturing into the flesh of prey, while those top jaw teeth would saw through the meat, carving out a chunk of blubber and viscera the shark could swallow. And these teeth are so sharp that native Floridians made spear points out of the fossils to hunt game. The teeth, though, are basically what we know. The skeleton of sharks is made of cartilage and not bone. The enamel-covered teeth, the only thing that is usually fossilized. Yeah, we have found some Megalodon vertebrae and some fossil shark dung, but in terms of what Megalodon looked like, nobody knows. It's just conjecture. For my reconstruction here, I went with basically something like a great white and swapped out the fins for those of a larger modern shark like whale sharks or basking sharks, because they are more in the right size range, because evolutionary adaptations to being a big shark? But this is garbage. This is most definitely not what Megalodon looked like. I wanted something that isn't quite just an oversized shark from Jaws. But without a clear idea what the shark looked like, nobody is quite sure how big they would have been able to grow. Newer work says something like 10 to 16 meters, probably, which is a very big fish. Anyway, let us go away from my artistic license and get back to science. So, Megalodon probably didn't go after prey in the same size class like our modern whales, but probably focused on much smaller species of baleen whales common at the time, cetatheres, which today is likely only represented by a single species, the pygmy right whale. Now, we have fossils of these whales that were attacked by the Meg, so we have some direct evidence how this giant shark hunted prey. Like many modern sharks, Megalodon probably would have targeted the tails or whatever the prey uses for propulsion, taking out the animal's ability to escape and then return for the kill. Likely coming in from below at high speed, Megalodon would have used a combination of the force of the ram and taking off a fin to immobilize prey, then come back and use the powerful bite force directed through those heavy-duty teeth to break through the rib cage and the vital organs protected by it, and quickly dispatch the prey, which is something the much smaller great white cannot do, even when taking on seals, having to either drown or wait until prey bleeds to death before eating. This lifestyle of hunting whales and being the biggest, baddest predator since the extinction of the T-Rex served Megalodon quite well. They had a global distribution for some 20 million years, which is pretty respectable. And then 3.6 million years ago, the teeth disappear from the fossil record. What happened? Megalodon dominated the seas of the Miocene, which was a time when small whales were super abundant. Then, towards the end of the Miocene, the whale diversity of Earth crashed. Fossils show Megalodon reached their broadest distribution at this time, but also the density of Megalodon on Earth seems to simultaneously have been on the decline. What we might be seeing here is suddenly Megalodon prey disappears. They started to starve and ventured into areas they normally didn't occur, looking for enough prey to sustain them, and from there a decline to extinction. The final disappearance of Megalodon roughly coinciding a few million years later with the formation of our modern ocean circulation, where seasonal upwelling concentrate life, and so drove whales to become absolutely massive to better conserve energy. Now, was the evolution of the modern giant-sized whales permitted by the extinction of their smaller ancestor's predator, or was it the evolution of whales too big for Megalodon to hunt that drove the mega-toothed shark to extinction? I mean, technically we cannot say the main food of Megalodon was these small whales because science, but these patterns are at least interesting to think about. I am going to be really clear here that unfortunately, Megalodon is extinct. I hope I made that clear in the reaction to Argus's video. There isn't prey in the right size category, not on the surface, not in the deep, and the apex predator of the ocean is a giant death dolphin that is nearly as big. There is simply no place an animal with the ecology of Megalodon could be in our modern ocean. Sorry. I wish they were still out there too, but that is just not supported by any evidence. So, with no chance of going out and finding a living Megalodon, what am I supposed to do? I promised you all Megalodons. Well, fortunately, over their 20 million year reign, a lot of Megalodon teeth were shed on the ocean floor because sharks lose teeth like dudes in Florida get Darwin Awards. And since the shape of the oceans hasn't changed all that much since then, there are plenty of Megalodon teeth to find in the ocean today. So what better place than Venice? No, the one in Florida. The shark tooth capital of the world. You can take a selfie with a shark tooth collecting mermaid, or get a Megalodon-themed margarita, then go down and stumble drunk around the beach looking for shark teeth. I'm here on Venice Beach, underneath the Venice Beach looking for shark teeth. This is apparently the shark tooth capital of the world because they erode way out there and then they get washed in. But any fossils on the beach have basically gone through a washing machine and are going to be tiny or in really bad shape. We need to go where the fossils are eroding out to sea. So, after sleeping off a couple shark-themed drinks, the next morning it was out to sea on the hunt for teeth. The seafloor of the Gulf Coast of Florida ranges from rocky limestone to soft clay, with thick bushes of macroalgae swaying in the current. Unlike everywhere else I have gone diving, the fish come up to you. They know divers here are all a bunch of fossil hunters, and so are going to dig in the muck, disturbing potential food items. The ribs of dugong, a distant relative of Florida's manatees, litter the bottom, and there are shark teeth, but no Megalodon teeth yet. Ah, here we go, the tooth of a baby Meg. And there are more. So, taking a look at my tooth haul, I was able to find a couple little Megalodon teeth. Tiny compared to the adult teeth, though some are really neat as they are actually the teeth that would have been developing in the row further back in the jaw, waiting to replace the tooth at the front. Beyond Megalodon, I found the teeth of mako, sand tiger sharks, more typical requiem sharks, and even a giant weasel shark, which actually has been theorized to have been a predator of Megalodon pups. One fossil, though, I found was a bit more mysterious. This chunk of fossil rock doesn't really look like anything. Same on land. This is actually a fragment of a Columbian mammoth tooth from a time well after the extinction of Megalodon, the Ice Ages, just a few thousand years ago, when all the glaciers covering the northern hemisphere caused lower sea levels, and so this mammoth likely walked over the landscape I am currently swimming. And if mammoths could walk where I now swim, if we lose the glaciers of Antarctica and Greenland, I guess all of Florida could slip below the waves, just like when Megalodon roamed the area. At one point, climate change was implemented in the extinction of Megalodon, but recent work really doesn't show a direct link between climate and the decline of Megalodon. Maybe climate was the cause of the decline of small baleen whales and the evolution of modern leviathans that coincided with the decline and disappearance of the great fish. While climate change is shifting our oceans, sadly sharks are also getting wiped off the face of the earth. In just a few decades, the oceanic whitetip went from being the most common large animal on Earth to critically endangered, because people can't get enough of eating their fins, and of course all those stupid long lines every animal in the ocean seems to get caught on. While instilling fear in many, sharks are just such majestic creatures. The first time I saw a wild shark, I was diving off Hawaii on New Year's, and these endangered sandbar sharks swam by, and I can't even explain the feeling. Honestly, I haven't felt anything quite like it. They are amazing animals. People are drawn to sharks. Maybe it is morbid curiosity. But if we can get that to appreciation of their beauty or awe of a group of animals that have roamed the earth since long before the dinosaurs, maybe we can get people to care just a little. I hope. Anyway, if you want to help out sharks, I'm going to refer you to Minorities in Shark Science because they are a really amazing group doing interesting shark work around the world. It is really unfortunate that Peter Benchley had to write a book with a killer shark that was then made into a really good movie. And people freaked out way too much about sharks. Yeah, they can really mess you up, but they aren't bloodthirsty creatures. That said, the Jaws author did write a whole apology to sharks, and I feel that it is my duty to tell you that because I have never heard shark life brought up in the context of shark conservation and Jaws. And yet, stupid killer shark movies keep getting made, including ones with the Megalodon, and Hollywood is going to remake Jaws at some point because they only care about the money, not making the world a better place or artistic integrity. I will only accept that if it's an animated film with a village of animated sharks and then a shark hunter attacks them, and there's a cop shark and a sleazy mare shark and a baby shark gets freaking harpooned, and then they hire the Meg to hunt the shark hunter. That would be great. Well, I guess that is it for this season of Nature Misconceptions. Thank you to all who watched through it and have come on this globe-trotting adventure from tropical Pacific islands to the swamps of Florida. Let me know if you want to see more of this series, as I could see this being the finale, as Megalodon is the most awesome thing ever. Though I am thinking of developing a slightly different style in the future that is shorter and more question-based, like the bullet ant or army ant video from last season. If that sounds interesting, you can subscribe and click the bell icon. And I guess until next time, bye. I mean Finn.